Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the February 7th meeting of the Public Safety Subcommittee of the Revere City Council. Please stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll of the members?
Roll call of the members. Councilor Cogliandro?
Here.
Here. Councilor Fiore?
Here.
Here. Councilor Morabito is absent. Councilor Silvestri? Here. Here. And Chairman Serino?
Here.
Here. A quorum is present. And we also have Councilor Visconti, who's an ex officio member of this committee as well.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First item and only item on the agenda is 22-007, the 2022 Municipal Hazard Mitigation Plan. We have L. Baker with us tonight from the administration, and Ms. Baker, the floor is yours.
Hello again. Honorable Council, thank you for having me here tonight to talk about the City of Rivere's Hazard Mitigation Plan. It's a plan that we've had underway for about a year now. So I just want to give you some brief updates of the process that we went through in order to formulate this plan and the reasons that we need to have it in place for our city. So first I'll start off with the planning committee that we formed in order to formulate this plan. We had a staff of 14 different staff members throughout the city, in planning department, DPW, police, fire, conservation commission, school department, parks and rec, as well as the chair on the disability commissions. With all of this staff comes a wealth of knowledge and experience throughout the city, and that was really one of the driving factors of putting this plan together. So why do we need a hazard mitigation plan? The City of Rivere's first natural hazard mitigation plan was initially prepared back in 2005, and that was to meet the federal requirement for a Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. So to stay in compliance with DMA, we need to update the plan every 5 years to be current. So updated plans are required for the City of Revere to be eligible for FEMA hazard mitigation funding through FEMA grant fund opportunities. So as we move through the plan, you'll hear a little bit more about that. The current analysis of the realized and the predicted risks is what we take into account, because the hazard mitigation planning is the key to resiliency throughout the city. And planning breaks the cycle of hazards becoming disasters. So the more that we're able to achieve with well-formulated plans and funding opportunities, the better off we will all be. So you'll see that I believe that everyone has received a copy as of the last City Council meeting packet for the Hazard Mitigation Plan 2022. This is a combination of multiple plans and deliberate analysis of the city's vulnerability to natural hazards. So when I say natural hazards, I mean things like storms, sea level rise, hurricanes, tornadoes, which we never thought we would have been in that situation, but we were. So it takes into account all of these natural hazards that we are vulnerable to, not just one part of the community, but in all aspects of the community. Everybody feel free to jump in. If you have any questions, you can stop me at any time. So the hazard
Ms. Baker,
yes.
Is this available online to the public? I know we received it in our council packet, and it is online through the city council packets, but will it be available for people to view?
Yes, the hazard mitigation plan is available online right now. If you go onto the city website, revere.org, and you go to plans and initiatives, and then you can click, you just scroll down and you'll see hazard mitigation planning, and all the documents throughout the course of the planning process are all posted there. And these slides can be posted as soon as tomorrow. So the hazard mitigation planning helps to achieve the goals of identifying the hazards, evaluating what the risks are, and a comprehensive list of mitigation actions to reduce the key risks, as well as a formulated plan to implement the actions that we identify. It helps to reduce damage to lives and property. It impacts the hazard event of the economic and social fabric of our community, as well as it reduces the response time and costs associated with natural hazards should they occur. The Hazard Mitigation Planning Committee goals. So we started off with the 2015 plan, which was a well-informed plan. However, it did not account for sea level rise, and so that is obviously an inherent threat to us being a coastal community. So that wasn't, it wasn't established as part of the 2015 plan. We reviewed possible mitigation actions ongoing from 2015. Many of you were involved in or aware of the MVP planning process, which we formulated through 2 community workshops, 8 hours with community members and staff, and then many follow-on hours from that to formulate our municipal vulnerability plan, summary of findings. The Metropolitan Planning Organization also conducted a resiliency study of Route 1A and identified a number of mitigation efforts that could be taken for Route 1A corridor, as well as the Coastal Resiliency Feasibility Study for Riverside and the Point of Pines that was conducted in 2020. So all of those plans were taken into account as we move forward to identify the hazard mitigation plan update. The risk assessment, we took into consideration the potential damages created by the interaction of natural hazards with our community and the built environment. So we took a lot of time to identify all of the critical infrastructure throughout the city, some of which is Revere City owned, some are business owners, and some are residents in the community. So we took into account all of those factors while we were prioritizing the actions in the plan. These are some types of hazards that we considered for the plan: inland flooding, drought, landslides, coastal flooding, coastal erosion, extreme temperatures, invasive species, hurricanes and tropical storms, severe winter storms, which none of us are strangers to at the moment. And so all of those factors were considered. And as we move forward, the goals from the 2015 plan are listed here. And we took a total of 43 actions that were listed in the 2015 plan, and we've moved them forward and asked for adoption in the 2022 plan, along with 20 new actions that were identified by the Planning Committee, as well as 7 new actions that were identified by the MVP planning process. So it brings us to a total of 54 hazard mitigation recommendations for the city moving forward. So what do we do with that? So now we have a list of all of these things to do. So with that, we take into consideration what are the most severe risks, and we prioritize them in year categories. So we'd like to achieve this goal within 1 to 2 years. And then the next bucket would be 3 to 5 years, and then the next bucket is 5 to 10 years. So some of those projects that are listed for 5 to 10 years doesn't necessarily mean that they're not as important and not as significant, but it may take a lot more funding to get there, and in which case takes a lot of planning. And with many of these projects, each project has a planning process. So first, you must identify what it is that needs to be done at a high-level conceptual idea. From there, you'd go for funding for a myriad of grant opportunities that might be just for the design phase. Some would include design and permitting. And then, so you go design, permitting, onto construction. So every project has sort of a life cycle that you need to fulfill in order to get to the final implementation. So the key is starting with the solid plan, so we can identify the projects that need funding, and then as grant funds become available through either the state or federal funding, or perhaps through ARPA funding now is a new opportunity for us in the city, if it meets all the criteria, we can then leverage those grant funds with city dollars so we can get the most out of our expenditure. So that's basically explaining the high, medium, low, and how we have identified the priorities. So some of the highlights for the 2022 plan are upgrades to the Point of Pines pump station, new drainage outfall at Malden Street. All of you have a copy of all of the plans, so I won't go through sort of in great detail, but it is available online as well for anyone at home that's interested in looking at that. Oak Island Marsh restoration is key for Route 1A. As we know, we've had road closures there. Beach nourishment and erosion control for Revere Beach, which requires coordination with DCR. So as I said, some of these issues we're dealing with are out of our jurisdiction, although it still lies within our boundaries of our city. It requires us to work with either DCR or Mass DOT or the MBTA to resolve and to work towards mitigation. So beach nourishment, dune restoration for the Point of Pines is also important to residents living there. Ambrose Park, drainage improvements, that will be tacked onto the plan that we're working on right now for the renovation of Ambrose Park. Drainage improvements under Route 1A, again, for that MPO corridor study. And then the Riverfront Master Plan also identified a number of areas that need improvement on the riverfront. One most are well aware of is the seawall erosion on Mills Avenue, causing flooding at every high tide, king tide, and astronomical tides. That's current, and it's predicted to only get worse with our flood predictions that we've visited for 2030, 2050, 2070, and 2100. So we have identified some projects there for the Riverside neighborhood drainage improvements. And for the Mills Ave seawall erosion, we have submitted a grant last week through EEA to fund design for that project. And then the subsurface stormwater at Gibson Park is also in the design phase. So here's just a quick timeline of things that we have gone through. In April of 2021, we had a local committee meeting. In May 2021, we updated the plan, the first draft. In May, we had a public stakeholder meeting, stakeholder meeting number 2. All of these meetings were conducted on Zoom as a result of the pandemic that we're all hoping to resurface from soon. And then we have also submitted our draft copy already to FEMA, and they have reviewed it for completeness, and they have identified that it does meet all the criteria for approval. So we're at the point now with the hazard mitigation plan that we are just waiting final approval and adoption from the Revere City Council, and then we can move on and accept the plan and continue to move on with progress and seek grant reimbursement for that completion of the plan. And that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you very much.
Questions?
Thank you very much, Ms.
Please
Baker.
let me know.
Are there any members of the subcommittee that would like to ask a question or have a comment? Or any members of the council not on the subcommittee? The chair recognizes Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know I wasn't supposed to ask you this, but can you just explain, we have a seawall in between Short Beach and Rocky Beach that is eroding. We have 6 inches between the sidewalk and the wall. One of these days soon, this seawall is gonna collapse. It's that bad. Pieces, chunks of, and I know it's DCR, but I was just wondering if you have a plan for that in going forward, if you just can talk about it, just so my residents and constituents can hear what, because it's a big concern for them.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It is on the list of one of the action items on the hazard mitigation plan. And as a process goes, with DCR being involved, that would be something that we need to revisit with DCR, work together with them as a partner, and also seek likely federal and state funding in order to mitigate that situation. So it is on the list as part of the plan, and advocacy is key. So as we continue to move through grant opportunities that might be available for that type of funding. So for example, MVP and coastal zone management grants, they like to see more nature-based solutions. So although they do have great funding available for resiliency projects, they're less likely to fund things that require hard infrastructure. There are other grants that are more open to hard infrastructure, and that's the sort of funding that we'd be looking for. It's possible that a seawall of that size would be a good candidate for brick funding, which again is FEMA funding, and we do need the hazard mitigation plan adopted and current in order to apply for those types of funds.
Thank you, and I just have one more question. So we have some low-lying areas in Beachmont. One of them is Pearl Ave, and they're getting inundated with marsh water, which, would happen periodically, but now it's happening every storm. And they're also inundated with the seawater coming over the wall. Is there any plans to help them in the future?
I know we'd had some conversations in the past about opportunities for raising structures, so it might be a good time that we can revisit that. When we were going through our MVP process, we actually did collect all that information from our consultant and from the state on what might be available to help homeowners elevate in those situations. So I'd be happy to revisit that with you if you want to work on that.
I have passed information on to the residents down there to elevate, and I know one house has elevated. I think what we need to do is, I don't know how we do it in the conservation context, but we need a berm along the marsh to help these people that are in, there's probably about 10 houses down there that need a berm to stop the water from going into their property. So is that something that we can look at in the future?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I know that engineering has been looking at that area for quite some time as well. I think they'd worked with CZM for some initial feedback and information on what could be done there.
Okay. Thanks, Elle. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other councilors? The chair recognizes Councilor Fiore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Ms. Baker. Along those same lines, is there anything on your radar with the Point of Pines seawall?
The Point of Pines seawall is also listed on the hazard mitigation plan.
Okay. And one thing that's obviously it's been a problem for a while, is the riverside. And has there ever been any discussion of installing a beach wall on the riverside?
Yes, that is, we actually just put in a grant last week to talk about potential design for that location.
Very good. Thank you.
And also, there's more information about that on our coastal resiliency plan. It is on revere.org under the MVP Coastal Resiliency Riverside and Point of Pines, in which we explored a number of different opportunities, some for short-term mitigation and some for long-term mitigation, to determine whether or not it made sense to do sort of interim mitigation efforts with sort of a rollout. If you know a storm's coming, we could potentially do a temporary wall that might alleviate some flooding. And then we also looked at long-term solutions there as well. So we're in the process of still vetting out what would be the best opportunity for costs and short-term versus long-term in that area.
What would be a short-term temporary wall?
So there's opportunities in which you can roll out temporary installations if we generally know when the storms are coming. So if we knew, you say Friday the storm is coming, there are some opportunities where you can purchase equipment that can help to alleviate and hold the waters back, rather than a permanent concrete structure.
And what would those be made out of?
They're deployable. Some of them are made out of plastic. Some of them, there's a number of different opportunities that you can explore.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The chair recognizes Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Baker, you had mentioned the moving of the wires over Ambrose Park. Now that we finally tracked them down, have they given you any sort of timeline on when that work's going to be done?
Not at this time.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Council President Visconti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Ms. Baker. Question on the funding. I assume most of this plan is federally funded or grant funded. How much have you received in the past last year in comparison to what you expect to receive this year with grants?
That's a great question. We've received a number of MVP grants throughout the past few years. I think in 2019, I think we completed our plan, and we've received about $600,000 through the MVP planning. I know the fire department has received some FEMA funding. I can't speak to that, to be honest. And with this plan, we hope to be able to go after some more funding, both at the federal and state level. Anytime we have a plan, and especially if a particular project is listed in multiple plans, it gives a little bit more strength to the applications. So we have received a number of grant funds for a lot of the mitigation work that we've done, and we hope to continue that as we move forward. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Are there any other councilors that have comments? Seeing none, is there a motion on the floor?
Motion to approve.
Second? Is there a second? Okay. Madam Clerk, roll call.
On the motion to adopt the 2022 Municipal Hazard Mitigation Plan, Councilor Cogliandro. I'm sorry, yep, yes. Councilor Fiore?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morabito is absent. Councilor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Council President Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. And Councilor Sereno?
Yes.
Yes. This received a favorable recommendation and will be forwarded to the full City Council this evening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Baker.
Thank you.
And seeing there is no further business before the Public Safety Subcommittee, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion on the floor? Adjourned.
right, welcome to the February 7th, 2022 Appointments Subcommittee. Please rise to salute the flag. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members of the Appointments Subcommittee. Counselor Keefe?
Here.
Here. Counselor McKenna?
Here?
Here. Counselor Rizzo is absent. Counselor Sereno?
Here.
Here. Council President Visconti?
Here.
Here. And Chairman Cogliandro?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present.
All right, item 22009, the appointment of Stephen Betterman. He is unable to be here tonight, and I'm asking that we keep this in committee until he's able to attend. Anyone wish to speak on that?
So next item on tonight's agenda, the appointment of Laila Petri to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Laila, come on.
Sorry. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, my name is Laila Petri. I'm living in Revere on 525 Bishop Street, and I worked for MassDOT 16 years ago. And also, I'm supporting to the Affordable Housing Trust as a Revere resident, and also as a Revere, belong to the Revere Housing Coalition.
Thank you. Any members of the committee wish to speak?
Thank you.
All right, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Next up is Council Order 22-22, the appointment of Nick Rudolph to the Conservation Commission.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to share with us?
As a lifelong resident of Revere, and with my professional background, I feel it is my duty to give back to the city that's given me so much. So this is a great opportunity, and I look forward to, if you'll have me, for this position.
Thank you. So we'll go, I saw Councilor Sereno first, so Councilor Sereno?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Rudolph. And this is more of a comment. So this is my first time on the Appointments Subcommittee meeting, the Appointments Subcommittee during my tenure as a city councilor. And to you and to the other members that we are considering tonight for the CONCOM and also for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, I just wanted to say that obviously we take these appointments very seriously, and you all are accepting a responsibility to serve in these capacities. And I know that, over the past year or so, we've made appointments to the Conservation Commission specifically, and folks have, kind of neglected their duties, not shown up. The last, CONCOM meeting, there wasn't even a quorum to hold the meeting. So just for everyone that we are appointing tonight, please keep in mind, it's not just something for the resume. And I appreciate your comments, and I know that you will do great in this position, but to please remember that these are important roles in our community. So with that, congratulations. I'm sure we will approve, but that's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor McKenna?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your resume is very impressive. I'm very impressed, and COMCOM's hasn't been an easy department to keep people. I love that you're dedicated and you want to give back to the city, and I welcome you with open arms, and I hope you do a great job.
Thank you.
Because I'm a big environmentalist, so I hope you do a very good job with COMCOM. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Councilor Keefe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Rudolph, good to see you again. I know that we've met each other a few times over the last few years, and I appreciate your willingness to get involved in the city. I had the same comments, and I'm sure you will, and I'm confident that you will, but just to kind of give everyone that information that when you do serve on a board, the expectation is that you're present, and even, you know, right now, the times that we're able to participate via Zoom and things like that, but when they do start meeting back in person, just seeing again, they didn't have a quorum this last meeting was disappointing because I know there's been some new members appointed. We expect and we hope that you'll want to serve on the board, be active, be involved, and keep things whole. So I hope that, I think everything will go well for you today, I'm sure, and I hope to see your commentary and your insight as you serve. Thank you.
Looking forward to it, sir.
If I may, I can speak to Mr. Rudolph's character. He's incredibly responsible, and I know he will take this position incredibly seriously, and he's also very qualified, as you said, Councilor McKenna. So, on the appointment, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is Council Order 22-28, the appointment of Megan Simmons Hurling to the Planning Board.
Welcome, Ms. Simmons.
Hello, thank you. So my husband and I just purchased a home in Revere, and we're very excited. It's been about 6 months now. It's been wonderful. And I'm looking for ways to be able to be involved and participate and help in the community in any and every way that I can. I've been in government acquisitions professionally for about the past 8 years in the federal government and understand the acquisition process far better than most people on most given days. The ins and outs and the trials and the headaches too. In any way that I can help on the planning board in making Revere even better than it is, I'm very excited to be able to do so.
Thank you. Any councilors? Councilor Keefe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to you, Ms. Simmons Hurling, and your husband. Welcome to Revere, and it's really great to have people come in here with great energy and want to help serve the community. So we're excited. Certainly, I think that we'll all say that your resume is expansive, and we look, you know, I look forward to seeing your service to the community. So again, the same as with Nick and Ms. Petri. We just hope that you'll continue doing that service and you won't wear out in a year or so, and you'll help protect our community. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome. I love your enthusiasm and your dedication, and welcome to Revere. And I thought your resume was outstanding, and I also feel that we really need young people to help run the city, and we look forward to your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council President Visconti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I love seeing new residents come in and wanting to get involved. So I commend you, and I welcome that. It's great to see new faces getting involved in city government, and we appreciate you, taking that role. In regards to your resume, it's 8 pages, so it's, no way of condensing this to 1 page, that's for sure. Congratulations on all your achievements, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much.
On the appointment of Megan Simmons Hurling to the Planning Board, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered. No further business. Motion to adjourn.